Welcome back. That was Set Sails Tonight. Song is appropriately titled Tension for tonight's topic. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, mouse. Well, thank you. Sorry, I'm back.
Having some technical difficulties, Sean?
A little bit, yeah. My mouse fell off my desk.
Well, that sucks. Well, Tim's away for a second from his computer, taking care of some cigarette-related business. I think we should recap real quick. We talked about the ghost steps and the ghost hands that title everything with ghost that started happening to us as we slowly progressed through our investigations on Santa Rosa Mine Road, Ghost Road, and continuing on the subject of footsteps, since they were such an integral part of our experience on Ghost Road, I want to mention that as we continued to, I want to say at times that we got a little bit too reckless, because we started interrogating and at one point even shouting at these things. We were experimenting and trying to see what reactions these things would have to us in our presence. So I recall these things used to chase after us. It started, they used to follow us down the road. Like, they'd be really intense in one area, then we'd be like, all right, we'd get creeped out and we'd go down further down the road to get away, and in lesser degrees, the footsteps would follow us down the road. Almost miles down the road, too. we and I remember there was a bit of a time delay when we got out of the car. We rolled down the windows or something to listen for activity. There'd be a couple seconds of pause and silence in the air, and then the footsteps would start echoing through the grass and stuff outside.
Right. Yep.
I remember there were several times that we just got so fucking freaked out about this that we just took off. Or
Oh yeah.
because
I remember some nights where we kind of looked at each other and went, "Well, it's time to go."
Yep. uh, I remember a time that I believe it was the night that you cut yourself. Remember that?
Yeah, I do recall that stupid fucking idea.
And
It was a great idea for what we saw, but what a stupid fucking idea.
I remember that you stomped your foot down and said, "I have sway in both the living and the dead realm, in both realms." Trying to be badass. You whipped
well, I was
out,
trying to get something like big to happen.
and well, for you, you sort of did. You cut your arm.
Yeah.
And then you turned around, you were holding the knife still, so there was no way that you could have touched your arm and done this yourself, presumably. You know. And you pointed to your arm, and there were like these 3 finger swipes on your arm. And then, as we were examining the arm, and Max was being, the good skeptic that he was, you basically like, "Oh, you did that yourself," or something, or "Those don't look like fingerprints," or some finger swipes, and they really did.
How the fuck could he not? I want to punch your brother so much for that. Like, how the fuck could he not think those were fingerprints?
I don't know, but
I'm back.
Just,
welcome back.
Retard.
You actually recalled being bit right then. Can you tell us about that, Sean?
Oh, right, I definitely know about that. Actually, I'll tell you the truth. Yeah, that was on my arm. In fact, that was the same night. I think that's what started the cut idea.
Well,
We were walking down the road, and I literally felt like I got bit by an animal on my arm. And there was, nothing there. There was like 5 of us in the group, so I mean, I really doubt any of them suddenly died from my arm for no reason.
Tim is typing me things.
Tim is typing those things.
Yes.
I was just saying that I heard of / thought of / looked up 3 spirits that are mythological creatures that could be responsible for the stalking sensations and things like that.
Really? Because
well, yeah. For instance, there's the Chinese vampire is said to feed on qi. It can't cross water, and there's various other. It can't cross open water, I should say, based on certain mythos. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate or just something I saw on television. Could be both. The other ones I thought of were Wendigos and doppelgangers, or
Doppelgangers was the first thing I thought of.
Gosh, there's one more. Skinwalkers. But they're Skinwalkers
please,
and Wendigos.
Please explain that.
Skinwalkers could be in spirit. Now that I don't know that they're necessarily physical entities, but if they are, they could simply be things that stalk people and like appear to them to be someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone close or something like that. Wendigos are supposedly there. I think there were myths about them being humans that went cannibalistic and then etc. And once again, I think that might be a spiritual thing, which is to say that someone feeds on human flesh, their spirit is marked by that, and they and they end up. But I don't know. That's an odd thought. Doppelgangers. Go on.
I've had my own experience with doppelgangers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I heard a lot of stories. My friend heard stories about them showing up on the East Coast a lot, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I can't find that necessarily. I'll go look. I'll go see if I can find a source for that. But
Oh, I've had my own weird experiences with shadow people out here, but not exactly doppelgangers. I think I might be too old, though. Doppelgangers tend to, purportedly, I'm not saying this is fact, latch onto teenagers and children and stuff like that more often than adults. Probably because they're more open to it. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we digress. Again. It's all very good info, I think. And one thing I wanted to mention was that when you started seeing the strange, when we started seeing that, not we, but you, Sean, started seeing the strange dog shape, you reported that it looked kind of like a jackal. And we did a
Yeah.
little bit of research on this, and we turned up that there is actually some paranormal phenomena behind this. Would you be able to go into that a little bit?
No, because frankly, I don't remember the research. But at least I'm honest. I don't recall that the jackals had something to do with hell. I think, didn't they? Or do you not?
Or the dead, or the afterlife.
Right.
Well, maybe Tim can. Tim's done a lot of
I'm
research.
pulling
and
up
stuff.
jackals. There might be some folklore. Okay, folklore. Foxes and jackals are often depicted as clever sorcerers in Eastern mythology. Anubis, the jackal-headed god associated with mummification, afterlife. The jackal, likely the golden jackal, given its present range, is mentioned 14 times in the Bible. It's frequently as using creation myth posits that the jackal was among the first animals. I don't know. I'm trying to find mythology on them, but meh. Oh, dog and meaning and spirits,
Dog?
spirit of wild dogs.
While he does that research, we're gonna move on a little
Yeah.
bit.
Let's go to the next
At
story.
one point, Sean actually thought that the footsteps that we continued to hear were actually those creatures or paranormal entities.
Yeah, it seemed reasonable at the time, but then I think was it you who said they sounded like human footsteps, or was it Max?
They sound. It was me. They sounded very human, because especially
Yeah.
the distinction in pitch when they hit the concrete as opposed to hitting the grass. I found that
exactly.
very telling, and they seemed to move like a two-legged creature might. So, otherwise known
That
as a
lends more
bipedal.
credence to the Chinese vampire concept. I heard. Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Well, Tim, think about this. The area used to be populated by local tribe of Native Americans, and their name escapes me, so forgive me. I haven't done research into who exactly resided there. There's not a whole lot to look up anyway. And we seemed to think for a little while that they were Native American spirits that were just kind of hanging out there, I guess. was the idea. Sean, do you recall that? Does this bring any bells?
I have to step away for 1 second, bit of an emergency. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I apologize for this.
Well. Okay. Well.
I found a link to the Chinese vampires.
Okay, I'll post that up on the blog.
Blood drinker or Kue are blood drinkers. Believe in Kue.
Well, I mean, it's also possible that they could be jinn or something else, but the fact of the matter
exactly.
is we don't exactly know what they were.
No, and given that we have such limited perception of that level of our reality, I don't know that there's going to be many sources other than what we find or research and posit of ourselves on our own.
Well, there was a night. I actually want to get to this when Sean gets back because he can corroborate this a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into some weird stuff on that road, even weirder than the stuff that we've already talked about, the strange shapes and the footsteps and whatnot. But
I once had a. Yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
there was a little while that Max was the most curious of us. He'd go down the hill and he'd try to try to get close to these things, find out where they were, try to figure out if they were an animal, and they got really close to him. I'm talking like within feet, and there was nothing there. Wow. Even in tall grass, you'd be able to see movement in the grass, but there were only sounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't know. I used to go out in the woods and hear, I would go out and, I should say, they were woods, and they were pretty much devoid of wildlife, other than, small rodents and things like that. Nothing that could really, break a twig or something. But they were weird sounds and things all over the place. I remember one instance where I was outside in this town, this town I lived in when I was 15, and just walking around randomly again. And I got to my house, and something called to me, like from behind. And as I opened my eyes to see what it was, it sort of looked like a video game character.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's to say that it probably was something that was based on that somebody decided to base a video game character off of, because it wasn't precisely that, and it was. I suspect it claimed to be a spirit warrior, like some sort of demon or something, but it really didn't seem to intend to kill me or anything, just test me, and then it went away just as quickly. The odd thing, though, was it came back after, when I was in school. I was walking through the courtyard with a couple of friends, and I felt like I was slashed across the back.
Interesting.
I fell over. Yeah, I fell over, and my first reaction was to try and send a pulsive key at what had attacked me. But and my friends all jumped when before that happened, like something was behind us, but I didn't seem to notice, which was odd. I was at school. I never expected things to come at me.
Interesting.
I'm back, guys. I apologize about that.
It's okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say, since we're getting into the last half hour and 10 minutes, if any of you out there that the last 30 minutes and 10 minutes, a little bit confusing, I know. If any of you out there that are listening to us want to go ahead and call in, the Skype name is beer.cigarettes.radio. Just go ahead, give a call. We'll bring you on for a bit and let you ask Tim, myself, or Sean a question about Ghost Road if you got any questions. And I want to go ahead and post this on the Facebook too. You can also email us your questions at davidanova@beerandcigarettesradio.com. We'll try to get to them while the show's still going. And Sean, you want to give your email out as well?
My email is seanmahoney@beerandcigarettesradio.com. Obviously, yeah.
I wanted to wait to get into these next two things, the very interesting things that I need you to corroborate with me.
Right.
The tree shaking. Remember this?
Yeah, that was insane.
I think it's the most intense activity that we got on the road, at least from my perspective. We were meditating behind the car. I don't remember which car it was. I think it was your mom's.
No, I think Max was out there for that. Mom was the probably the part you're going to get to next.
Okay, all right. You were meditating on doing something, drawing something in, and I was trying to keep something out. Do you remember?
I believe so. I do. Yes, I do.
So we were creating some sort of friction, I guess.
That sounds about right.
I've always been very defensive, kind of throwing up the walls and stuff, and you've always been very curious. Come on, let it hit me, And at one point, while we were being chased away by footsteps in the car, that sounds weird, but nonetheless true, you actually passed out. Before this event, of course.
That was in the car. Out.
Yep, you passed out in the car. And in this case, you were actually trying to make some sort of contact. And while we were doing this, while we were meditating, the trees next to us, which are really huge trees with thick trunks, shook like something the size of, I guess,
An elephant?
the elephant or a T-Rex. Like something like that shook them back and
Crazy.
forth. They must have shook back and forth at least 5 or so feet. They just violently shook.
It was like a 60-mile-per-hour wind hit it in a split second.
And there was no wind. It was the dead of night.
That lends even more credence to the theory of the that I had about, you know, the spirits and large scale, you know, hauntings becoming more powerful the more spirits are involved.
And I want to stress again that you can send your comments into beer.cigarettes.radio via Skype if you don't want to call in. Or call in, be brave. But, yeah, I think so. Or it could even be, I've heard reports that jinn are really apprehensive to humans as well. Like in, and I believe I've mentioned this before on the show in past episodes, that in Muslim nations and stuff, jinn are feared more than demons. They won't go near a cave or something that's suspected of having a jinn. And as I recall, one paranormal researcher talking about as he made his rounds in that country and stuff, and had guides taking him places like that. So I mean, that is a possibility, but in the end, there's no proof for it. You know, you might even be able to say that humans make up explanations to put a personality on the activity, but unless you have direct contact, you'll never know.
Right. I don't know how to classify some of the things I've seen and felt, because, like I said, sometimes they look like something out of a video game, which could have been, you know, the spirit playing on my perceptual filters, and just showing me the easiest form.
That's another good possibility. I mean, how much, since they purportedly do exist on a different dimension, how much of our thoughts and our mental imagery can they grab a hold of, you know, to influence us? And that almost comes back to the Judeo-Christian idea that all of these things are really just demons and they're messing with your head and stuff, which I don't really believe, quite honestly.
I don't think that's possible. I mean, if it was all evil, then we'd be overwhelmed immediately. I mean, because what power could we possibly hold over them other than, you know, the fact that we deny their existence? And if they were... Yeah,
that's very true.
And then again, we could just be fooled into thinking so by them. Huh.
Well, yeah. The next thing I want to get into, there was a night that we went out with Sean's mom to Ghost Road, and I want to go ahead and let him tell this story right here for a little bit, and I'll chime in.
My mom, especially growing up, she's always been a very big conduit for this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to piece together the night in my head. Give me a second, because I want to make sure I tell it in the right order. So after all our times went out there, she wanted to go out there, so me and David went out there with her. We went up. At this point, we had already... David, we didn't say how we found the mine. Probably get on that, dude. That's a great story.
I think this is leading into how we found the mines.
No, we found it well before that.
Okay.
Last time up there.
Well, we'll say... You go ahead. I've been talking
I'll
long time in this show.
There's a dirt road that leads off by where the trees are. We had walked up it many times. My mom was staring up it, and we said, "Hey, what's going on?" And she goes, "There's a crowd of people up there." And after a while, I could eventually focus and see them. It was a crowd of just 10 shadow shapes, shadow people we talked about on another episode.
Episode 1, I think.
It had to have been 15 of them, just staring at us.
15.
Did you ever see him, David? I don't recall, actually.
I have never actually seen an apparition ever. I don't think I'm able to. It might just be.
Might just be that you're not open enough, but then again, given your openness to talk about it, that doesn't seem like the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember feeling like I was seeing some sort of static in the air, like something was there and it was distorting the air or my vision or something.
Maybe you haven't found the right method.
Come again?
Maybe you haven't found the right method for seeing. There are lots of different ways to open your third eye to see what's beyond the veil, and oftentimes I found that the ones that were really archaic sometimes just don't work with people of our generation and older and younger, because it doesn't fit with their mindset.
Huh. Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that is a possibility, but I remember we started walking up this road. By the way, there's a big sign that says Slaughter Road. It's hand-painted in red letters, so that kind of sets the scene right there. Every
Sounds like
night
fun.
we see that, yeah. We started walking up, and I remember feeling a lot of resistance as we walked up that road, and like something was pushing against us, trying to get us to stop walking up there.
Yes, I remember that too.
And something you said, Sean, you said something like rushed through you while you were walking up there.
Yeah, no, it was actually when we were standing there when me and my mom were looking at the group. It was like they rushed me.
I've had experiences similar to that.
Well,
Not on that
It was
scale.
like it just came straight at me and went through me. And
oh, I actually had
What?
Do you remember the dream I told you about? The shadow people dream I had?
indeed, I do.
Well, in that dream, they seem to be rushing me as well. So maybe it's just a common thing. Like when I found that one at the front of the dream mansion, at the front door, one of them
What
was,
color of black were they?
Black, just black.
Black, but what they faded from around the edges. Was it just pure black, or
It was pure black.
okay?
And some of them
That-
had
probably
red,
not
red
song.
oval
It
eyes.
seemed to be a bluish color that I recall.
the bluish color.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the blue color denotes. I've seen things with purple and blue auras and black auras all in different places, and I think those are all just manifestations or perceptual filters of dark things. Yeah. But those people on the road, those were probably human spirits.
You think so?
That's what we assumed.
I really do think so. They just based on the number of them and the what you guys talk about, they might have had a common thread in the way that they died. They might have been from a mining accident. They might have been, trying to escape, and just not have gotten out.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Tim, because that kind of leads into how we found the mines. Sean actually felt compelled while we were randomly walking up this dirt hill one night to walk in this one direction. Lo and behold, we found the mines. Several of them.
I recall I vaguely recall just stopping and saying, "Hey, we need to walk that way."
Yeah,
I've
I
had
remember
that
you
feeling
said
too.
that.
And we walked that way, and we were dead on like all the openings that are around that area.
I've had feelings like that and found like physical objects that were like really cool or something that I was looking for just by following a feeling like that. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I should go this way.
And through Max deciding to climb down into one of the holes and look,
That's
we
right,
discovered submerged mines. They were completely filled with water.
Yeah.
So, very interesting. And, if, just to throw this out there, if I were a member of any kind of mafia, Chinese mafia or something, a submerged mine might be a good place to hide a body.
Sounds like a perfect place to me.
Yeah.
Really
so,
does.
we were against him climbing down there because he could have been hurt. He could have fallen in or died or something, or
Drowned,
caught some disease,
or been tugged under by one of the spirits.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time I've ever seen massive, large numbers of them. It was only only 4 of them, and that was just bizarre, and most people just don't think it's credible that that this happened at all. But I've got my mother who I could bring on at some point, but I don't know.
Well, that's a possibility if she's got a lot of experiences in this area.
She does. She does. But my friend who I had with me, Leslie, he was the one who got me into the whole spiritual and paranormal investigations and key and things like that. But we were doing stupid stuff in the backyard, mostly just practicing key and trying to knock each other over without using our fists, and we hadn't really worked that well yet. But
does it work for you now?
I still haven't gotten that down.
Damn.
I'm trying.
You could be a YouTube star if you figured that trick out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You could have thousands of theoretical dollars.
Yes.
oh, theoretical dollars. You so
I
silly.
used to, but we were practicing in the backyard with each other, and when we decided to take a break, these 4 spirits walked into his backyard, like I shouldn't say walked in. It was more like they galloped in, and we chased them they chased us as far as my house, and through the entire time, you know the combination, have you ever felt that pressure in your ears when you hear hooves and things like that? The pressure
Yes.
of sound reverberating against your eardrum, but not the actual sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
It was occasionally just that we could feel that there was something behind us on horseback following us, but we managed to like run as far as my house, and my mother who's heavily pagan and Wiccan had to actually do something to banish them, because everything that Leslie and I tried, which normally worked on things that came up to us, and he and I had a number of experiences with spirits and key that at the same time, and he was one of the friends I was with when I got attacked in the courtyard of my school, but I'm not in contact with him anymore, sadly.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The odd thing is that it was I was in high school my first year, so I think it was like 2000 or 2001, and I just so happened to meet four spirits that looked like the Horsemen, and everybody doesn't
wow.
think that's credible. Yeah, seriously, I was fucking freaked. I felt and saw 4 spirits that looked like the Horsemen, and I was fucking scared. Okay.
You know,
I've rarely been scared because I usually knew I could
really
fight them. But
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
What was that?
Well,
Crazy.
I was also thinking that it's kind of interesting how we have all these different paranormal spots just in California. It seems like, originally we didn't think there was a whole lot of activity in California, at least not Southern California, But as we delve into it, there are so many different stories and hot spots all over the valley and throughout the region that it makes you wonder. Like take this area, for example. There's this place called Devil's Gate up near JPL, the JPL campus near in Pasadena. And this place is rumored to this little dam. It's a dam. It's a bridge as well. It's really hard to access, but it's a place where people commit suicides all the time, and it's a purported paranormal hotspot. There were a bunch of children that disappeared in the early teens in the 1900s, all the way up there. I believe in the 70s up through the 80s. And they ranged, I think there were 4 disappearances, ranged from ages 6 to 8, all children. And it's a place where Aleister Crowley, this guy named Jack Parsons, and L. Ron Hubbard, of all people, performed satanic rituals to bring upon some sort of Antichrist or Child of the Moon to
Fucking scientists.
fucking topple over known society.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the toppling of known society would be a good thing. Other times I feel like, it
Well,
wouldn't, but
it depends on
it
who does
depends.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, freaking Aleister Crowley used to call that place the seventh gate to hell. And since it is a hotspot of paranormal activity, you'd think that it was caused by that. But even before this, the whole area was a forbidden zone to the local tribe of Native Americans. They felt the area was cursed, and they didn't allow anybody to go into that entire area where the dam is located. So it might have
Sounds.
something to. What's up?
Go on. I'm sorry. Go on.
Um,
I'll say it later.
like to segue it back to my previous point, it does seem that this Devil's Gate has some striking similarities to our Ghost Road. I mean, the activity, people seeing things, footsteps.
Have you ever
Is
heard
it-
of the Araka Mesa?
No, I haven't. But my
Hold on, let me
point,
look it up.
my point
Oh,
is,
go on.
is it possible that someone performed some sort of rituals up in the mines and hills too? And remember, we thought that again, we thought that some of the ghost steps that we heard were from former Indians and inhabitants of the area. Is there a connection there?
It could be. I mean, it seems like spirits that are unwillingly used for sacrifice seem liable to stick around. And given the number, the 15 of them, which is a multiple of 3, most Wiccans and pagans and things like that, people who would try, not necessarily that all Wiccans and pagans would try it, but people who would try that are inclined to use multiples of 3. 9s, usually they go all the way up to 27 if they're going to go beyond 9 or 12.
Absolutely.
Interesting. Sean, do you have any other locations that you've been to that have been similar to Ghost Road, or is this the?
Oh, that's pretty much the one, man.
Well,
I can't lie. I've been to like, my house has its own things and that kind of stuff, but Ghost Road, just all the shit we've seen there is astounding.
unprecedented.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say experience because I haven't really seen much there, except for the strange aerial anomalies and visual anomalies that I encountered.
We don't know.
That's kind of why I was trying to mention the Uraka Mesa, because it mentions there are stories that I've heard about it that I can't find them on a reputable website, but there are stories that people go up to that mountain or the mesa to try and camp or things like that, and they'll be found dead with blue crystals in their eyes.
Holy shit, Charlie.
Yeah, I think they found several deaths. The Rock Mesa. Let me. I'm not sure what the translation for it is, but there's also talk about blue lights coming from above the mesa, and the shape of it is supposedly in the shape of a skull.
Hold on, I'm going to
So-
stop you right there for a second, Tim. We got a message through our Facebook from Rudy Gonzalez, and he says that he can't really come on, that he can't call in, but he wanted to ask if there are any reported incidents of things happening to people that worked in the mines or who built the dam at Devil's Gate. And I want to answer as far as the Devil's Gate thing goes. Yes, people commit suicide there. People die and have disappeared there. As I mentioned, at Devil's Gate and around the area itself, several children have disappeared, ages 6 to I believe 7 or 8, and several of them are still unsolved mysteries. They just disappeared. In one case, a kid was hiking in the hills near the area with his parents and rounded a bend, a corner, and just vanished.
Wow.
So, Sean, do you have any comments of anything happening to people while working in the mines or anything like that? Because I seem to recall that there were a couple deaths, but I'm not entirely sure if I can validate that. at this moment.
Yeah, I don't think I can either. I know we looked up a lot, but we never found it. I remember we tore apart the fucking internet trying to find it, and just got nothing. We couldn't even find proof that the fucking mines existed.
Yeah, that was interesting, and I tried to find the
absolutely.
information sources that I had earlier, and came up empty earlier today. And what's interesting is we couldn't find anything on Google, or you could only find the map location of the area. No history. You could find some housing listings, which there are a lot of empty houses apparently on that road. And
Yeah.
what's interesting is that by the fourth or fifth time that we went out there, all of a sudden I found this mining history of the area.
Mm-hmm.
So the timing of that was very, I don't know whether it's a coincidence, but as you know, I don't really believe in coincidences.
I'm not really inclined to believe in them anymore either. Oftentimes, what seems like a coincidence isn't really as coincidental as people think. It takes so many variables for something "quote unquote" coincidental to come about that it seems like you or theirs or some collective intent is driving it. You know.
You know, I'd be willing to agree with that, but we got another comment from Mark on our Facebook, and he wanted to ask you, Sean, how Tommy is doing. I don't know what that means.
Alright, Mark is an asshole, just move along.
Was that a reference to the Power Rangers conversation earlier?
Not at all. It's an in-joke between me and Mark that literally would take up a whole show to explain.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Mark,
Next time, Tommy.
bastard.
Maybe that can replace our Ancient Aliens show that we have coming up next week.
Oh, I'd have to watch that.
You mean listen?
I was referring to the Ancient Aliens thing, but aliens generally freak me out. The image
it
of them.
seems everyone kind of has that niche. I mean, we had a listener duck out and comment on the Facebook that they can't handle paranormal stuff, and some people just don't have the stomach for it, you know? It's interesting. Well, we've got about...
I want to bring up something, guys, right now about the website. I've had 2 people today tell me that, hey, I thought you guys were talking about the paranormal. Why are you talking about Fallout? Guys, there's a live player and an old show player. Please click play on the live player.
Yeah, there's a big arrow, a white arrow that that goes straight to the Flash player for our stream. And it says listen live. And you know what? You can even click on those little Shoutcast, Windows Media, and QuickTime icons above that little box. And that'll export the stream, or our live radio, into the media application of your choice. Choosing.
Yeah.
I recommend either Windows Media Player or Winamp, but that's just me. I don't like QuickTime.
I agree. Winamp's probably better. Generally better. I don't like to use anything from Microsoft personally, unless I have to. Or by Trump. I actually refused to buy a bed earlier this week because it had Trump's name on it. That's just wrong.
Ah.
Oh,
How
sorry.
entertaining.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to go into, Sean? I'm drawing a blank in a couple areas right now.
Actually,
What's up?
I am thinking there was something I wanted to bring up, and I forgot it now as we started talking about something else. For the life of me, I can't fucking remember it.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the time you passed out in the car. What do you remember from that?
I do remember one thing. When Karen, I, and Claire were there, I was leaning out the window trying to do something. I kind of forget what it was, in all honesty. And she says, and I'm a big dude. I couldn't get out the window. We had that small Toyota. And she goes, well, here, you drive. I'll go out. I think we were trying to see if we felt the hands anywhere else. She goes out and she's there for 3 or 4 minutes. And we drove damn near the entire road. And then she comes in and goes, "We need to pull over. Something choked me."
Whoa.
And she barely like.
That's
when she
frightening.
came.
Yeah.
Go on,
It was
explain.
weird.
Sean, are you
I mean,
there?
that's it. Like she couldn't tell me what happened. She just felt a hand around her throat.
Well, that's funny. Now I remember her telling me that she went blind for several seconds and heard these terrible screams. Do you remember her telling you that?
Yes, I do.
And I found
Those
that I found that pretty crazy. And you talking about the ghost lights in an interview I did with you for the Ghost Road Adventures.
Those headlights?
Yeah, the ghost headlights.
I wasn't there for that. That was Sabrina and Karen. They told me that story.
Oh, okay. Do you remember what exactly they said about that? Since we're getting into all of the limited lore on this road.
Not a whole lot. That was, God, that was 8 years ago, dude. I just remember that it looked like someone kept pulling up against them really fast, trying to pull over or get past them. So when Sabrina pulled over to let them do it, nothing ever went past her.
Let's talk about the arm.
Sounds
So
like
what? I'm sorry.
ghosts.
The arm.
Arm, yeah, that story.
Let's go from the beginning and.
We were driving the road as usual, being fucking. Sorry, I had to read something real quick. Driving down the road, we saw paper, not paper bag, it was plastic bag in the middle of the road that looked like it had something. I generally can't tell you like what it was. I honestly don't know. Goddamn people. I have like 4 messengers going off right now. It's annoying the shit out of me. We eventually, someone said, I think it was Lee, we said, "Hey, turn back, let's go look at that." I turned the car around, so I was driving at the time, and no, fuck, Karen was driving. I was in the front seat. She turned the car around, went back, parked next to it, looked into it. In the bag was a severed human arm.
Whoa.
Now, we could have handled the situation better. We drove and fucking left.
Well, yeah.
There are
that
a
seems like
myriad
a
of
good reason.
ways we could have handled this situation better, but we were still kind of new to the road. We hadn't been on there long, and just, I didn't know if a car full of 5 people could get that goddamn scared that goddamn fast.
Those incidents all sound like. You ever heard of you? I'm sure you both know about that a lot of people say that ghosts are trying to are replaying their death and things like that.
Right.
Like the strangling leads me to believe that maybe that, and not to mention the woman with the noose around her neck leads me to believe that you should probably look into hangings in the area. You probably have, sorry, but
Yeah, we tried.
it seems like there might have been the hangings. And what was the other one that you mentioned? The other violent act that one of the spirits did?
The biting.
Oh, jeez. Once that could have been
Screaming
that
as well.
That sounds like Wendigo shit to me.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, there's also stories about spectral dogs and things like that, but like those are generally called hellhounds, and around a mine that kind of makes sense.
So true.
How do you figure that makes sense?
Hell being supposedly underground.
Oh, well, I guess that's from our perception, though.
Yeah.
We think hell plus hot things, and lava is hot, and hell equals ground.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I don't. Well, then there is the idea that jinn hang out in caves and stuff, or in between the in between places, like in the little space between the entrance of your home, the door, and whatnot, like
Ridges.
that. So ridges. So I guess you could see some folklore in that and whatnot, but still, all very interesting points. Quite frankly, I don't know what was there, but it was a strange mix of vibes that we got. I mean, if you recall, there were some positive experiences, especially with how Sean told me several times that his ghost Angela would follow us up and down the road when we arrived and put her hands on his chest, like almost like a comforting sort of thing.
Yeah, like earlier.
And I remember that you stated that that it felt as though that she wasn't necessarily there to protect us, but to warn us of something.
Yeah, I recall feeling that. I don't know if warn us or just to kind of make her presence known, to know that we were doing something that might be
Stupid.
yeah, and maybe, hey, look, you guys might want to not be there.
Well, I suppose that that could be possible. Hey, we're okay though. We also tried to get a couple of EVPs there and came up with next to nothing. Whether or not that's because we weren't doing it right, or
No, well, we were using that old fucking micro cassette recorder I had. That thing sucks.
yeah. So
I actually think with a better one we might get something.
well,
I think electronic equipment would be easier to get that on
Yeah.
rather than like the old school tape recorder sort of thing. That's my own personal preference, though.
yeah, I think I agree with that notion. Well, we got a few minutes left in the show. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up? Any points, Tim or Sean?
Oh man.
Not related to the current topic.
Well, it's
I don't honestly know much about the Santa Rosa mines or the.
We covered all of like the big stories. The big stories that stand out really like clear in our head.
yeah. When we discovered the mines, you thought that these things, especially when we saw you rather saw the shadow people up on the dirt hillside, and we started walking up and started looking at the mines and stuff. You seemed to think that they wanted to tell us something. Do you remember that?
They might have been trying to show you where their bodies were.
Oh God, that would have been creepy.
Yeah, but you did find an arm once.
On my end. Repeat that, David.
You said that you felt when we saw the shadow people and stuff up on the top of the dirt road, and when we started walking up there, that you felt that these that they were people that died there or something, or that they needed to get a message out to us. Do you recall what you felt at that time?
I recall saying that might be the idea, but I couldn't feel for sure.
Ah. Well, I guess that makes sense.
I'm not positive sure.
All right. Well, we're getting to the end of the show here, and we're apparently running out of things to say on this subject.
We
We've pretty much
I
covered
don't
it.
want to go on a tangent or
stuff we
anything.
want to talk about.
There's the hollow earth theory. I mean, you could be dealing with those spirits trying to show you a weak spot in the veil between the worlds where it's actually possible for people to pass through. And the disappearances in Death Valley, or was it Death Valley, or what was it? Can't remember the name of the place you mentioned earlier.
Devil's Gate.
Devil's Gate. Yeah, places like that lead me to think of things like the old Irish and Celtic mythology about people disappearing into the mist and appearing several hundred years later, or and things like that.
We got another message from Rudy Gonzalez on our Facebook. He says he knows that we're running out of time, but he looked it up. Allegedly, one of the workers at these mines in Santa Rosa mine fell into a vat of cement and assumed he couldn't be saved, so got left in the cement.
Wow.
Oh, wait, that's for Devil's Gate. Okay.
I was gonna say, like, where the fuck did you find that?
Yeah. Well, Rudy, if you've got a source for that, I'd like to have that so I can post that up with our companion links later on tonight. If you can send that to me, that would be great. We've got 5 minutes, guys.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
They could all be weak spots in the veil. Weak spots. There's other concepts that make me think of why those places might be spiritually active, like the concept of ley lines, which is to say that there are supposedly energy lines that cross through the Earth and across the surface of the Earth that basically channel the Earth's power, and there is some credence to it, but I've never been able to find any solid research on it. It's just a thought about it.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I want to say, because I'm being texted to do this, hi, Derek.
Wait, what?
I got a text from Derek that says, say my name. Say my name, damn it. God damn it, it was so funny.
Hi, Derek. Thanks for listening. Well, it's been fun, gotta say. We had this was a great show, guys. I think I think if we can get you and Blaine or even a whole team out to Ghost Road again and report on that, and maybe a couple investigations, that would be awesome. Because I've
got a spot around locally that I'd like to go and see.
Yeah, that would be great.
I don't have a team or any equipment to investigate with.
Well, there's always
video.
I'm sorry?
Well, I don't know where you live, Tim, so I can't tell I can help you or not.
Well, he lives very, very far away from you.
Oh yeah, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and by the middle of nowhere, I mean the middle of the USA.
Okay.
Yeah, at an undisclosed location. Well, in closing, I'd like to say that with all these crazy things, I hope that other people will take it upon the initiative to safely investigate Santa Rosa Mine Road in Paris, California, and get back to us. Like, let's develop a network here of investigators to really delve into this mystery here. Find out what's really going on that road. Though that might kill some of the mystery, I think it might be worth it in the long run. Anyways, in our next show, we'll be discussing Ancient Aliens again. This time, Sean will be able to join us, and hopefully we can have a really interesting guest. I have a couple ideas and leads as far as who that could be, and it should be a great show, so don't miss it. Once again, check out our website at beerandcigarettesradio.com. Check out my blog, Into Transcendence, beerandcigarettesradio.com/WordPress, and check out Sean's blog as well while you're at it.
I don't post normal things. I just kind of post whatever the fuck pops in my head. You've been warned now.
Yeah, exactly. And you can get to that by...
Sometimes it's weird.
Yeah, you can get to that by going to our website, clicking on Sean's blog on the sidebar, obviously. And you can always send us a message at... you can send me or Sean a message at davidanova at beerandcigarettesradio.com. If you are interested in being a guest or something, we can possibly discuss that. Or if you have any questions that you'd like repeated on the air, or, that normal stuff. Sean, would you like to give them your email again before we sign off?
Once more, my email is seanmahoney at beerandcigarettesradio.com.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Tim. I know it was short.
Oh, no problem. I felt like I was really quiet.
No, you're great. You're great. A lot of informative stuff, and thanks to all our listeners out there.
I want to send a special thanks. Hold on, I told someone I'd do this a while ago. I'm gonna send a special thanks out there to a very amazing girl I know named Ashley. Thanks for listening.
All right. Well, for Beer and Cigarettes Radio, I'm Nova.
I am Sean Mahoney.
I'm Tim Bowen.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, everyone.